This next talk comes from Sarah Marks and Phillippa Carnelly. Sarah is the marketing manager for Rez, and Philippa is the senior UX designer for Del Boomi. In this session, they're going to be looking at marketing consent in a post-GDPR world and looking at how user experience plays into marketing more generally. This is sure to be an info-packed session and one that we will all take a lot away from. Enjoy this talk, folks.
We're going to chat about making metrics user-centric. Perfect. So for me, the subtitle would be how to gain marketing consent in a smart way and measure it really well. My name is Sarah Marks. I'm the head of marketing and communications at a tech provider called Rezcomm. And together with Philippa, who's here too, I'm hosting and organizing a local meetup called Digital Exeter. Hi there, Philippa.
Hi, I am a senior UX designer at Del Boomi. I'm also a host and organizer with Sarah at Digital Exeter.
Exactly. So what we'll cover in this short-ish talk is how we can build engaged audiences. Why does it matter? We're going to look at marketing goals and UX and how they go hand in hand, especially when we want to ask them that all-important questions. Do you want to join my email list? We're going to look at a couple of bad pop-up practices and how we can turn the tide. And then also we're going to talk about measuring the right way. Perfect. Can you just? So when marketers and creatives hear a question or a sentence that starts with, can you just, is the worst thing in the world, because you know that what is going to come in the following sentence is going to be something that is completely unachievable, and actually, you know, you don't even want to hear the rest. Can you just send this email to the whole email database in the next 10 minutes? Sure can do. Your future you won't thank you for that, because in reality we know it takes a lot longer. It takes testing, and it takes commitment to actually knowing what segmentation to apply. It takes commitment to knowing who your audience are. So actually when your boss asks you that question as a marketer, you know that actually the work started about 6 to 8 months prior to this, with laying the foundations in terms of measuring, capturing, and then engaging those contacts and users. So it feels a little bit like you have only 2 more wishes left, because when you're the only marketing or creative resource in your business, you have to do it all, and you have to do it well, at lightning speed, with minimal budget, ideally building and engaging those audiences, nurturing the relationships, and then handing off qualified leads plucked out of air to sales, and all of this obviously with the best metrics in all the land, the best outcomes and the highest success rates, and with minimal churn rate, please, too. Thank you very much. So it becomes really unattainable. Next slide, please. Perfect. So the expectation is that it'll literally just take fairy dust. But as Mindy Kaling shows us in the other GIF, the reality is very different, because no amount of fairy dust and good wishes is going to replace the hours and days you've spent in those 6 to 8 months prior to that can you just question in building that engaged audience. You have been building content, you've been promoting it across all channels, you have been driving traffic to your website, you have optimized your website, you have added tagging to your website in order to figure out how users actually engage with you and your business and what your website offers. And then it comes to this all-important consent question. Will you go out with me? Will you join my email marketing database? And obviously it's double opt-in and GDPR friendly as well. And because before you send out this campaign, you will have worked your butt off. You will have really worked hard in building that engagement even. So it takes a lot more than just those 10 minutes that was asked of you. It takes up to 2 hours to test an email template, to send out a campaign, and your future you won't thank you if you just say, of course, 10 minutes, no issue. No, manage expectations right from the start, because otherwise whatever you get out of it and how you measure success is just not going to be the same, and it's not going to be good enough as well. So on the next slide, we'll see in a minute, when we get to that all important question, that there is the right time and the right way of asking. It's one of my favorite games, actually. It's called When Will They Ask Me Out game. Any website I go onto, I'm waiting for some kind of pop-up to come up. And when they pop up, I do sort of have a good look, because I personally, for our business, which is a B2B tech business, want to optimize it at all times, and I take a lot of inspiration from the industry and how other people do it. And these examples are examples of how I personally would not be doing it. So on the left-hand side, you see from a sort of lifestyle and fashion sort of industry website, get our daily newsletter. It's a full-page pop-up that comes up maybe 5 seconds into a visit. Any visit, even if I've previously been there and I've accepted all the cookies, it will still pop up. And it's really hard to get rid of this particular pop-up, because there's a tiny X in the right-hand corner on a desktop, and on a mobile, you only have the little link below the button that you can see there. So from a design point, it's really hard and frustrating for the user. In the middle, you see something that quite often you'll find in a footer of any website, which is just a really simple email consent form, one little box to fill in, no value add proposition. It's simple and effective, and in some cases will get you sign-ups. And then on the right-hand side, we've got an ad copy Facebook pop-up, an ebook from a site that I was on when I was researching how you can make the most out of updating old content. And in that case, shockingly, this specific ebook had nothing to do with the topic I was researching. So they didn't get my sign up. What would have been much more topical if they actually had an ebook about the topic I was actually on. What page was I on? Does that have anything to do with the pop-up? And I might have then signed up and gotten the ebook, but this way, there was no way they were going to get my email address. So the right time and the right way is really important. When you look at your overall user journey, it's important to see where your user is at the point that you're asking the question. Don't just pop the question just because you can, but pop it in the right way at the right time and with the right value proposition. Why should I be signing up to you? And have I already got a relationship with you? Have I been on your website several times? Do I know your content? Am I an avid follower of you on social media? Am I going to be a valuable member of your email marketing database? So am I going to deliver you metrics that you can take back to your boss and say something really valuable about your campaigns and your business in total? So, because I would argue, and this might, not come as a surprise, it might come as a surprise, that actually the way you gained marketing consent will determine the quality of your data or read your audience and what you can define as success, because success looks very different for any business. So it's really hard to sort of compare apples to pears. It depends on not just your target audience or your industry, but how they interact with your website. So it actually goes even further back than 6 to 8 months of you trying to get people to sign up to your email list. It goes back to what value proposition has your business got, and how well designed is your website, and is it user friendly, and is it right for your target audience? Because it's not just about having those thousands of signups, but it's about how those individuals actually interact with you and your campaigns and what you want to get out of your marketing. And your user journey is probably the most valuable asset you have. And once your user journey is aligned with your marketing strategy, which is aligned with your business strategy, that is when you really see results come in. Because actually metrics alone really mean little when they're not mapped against your audience. And I've got a really neat little GIF there as well. And that's all that counts. Over to you, Philippa.
Thanks, Sarah. Okay, so I'm going to be focusing on metrics and making metrics good and something that you can measure by. So why? You need to know what you're getting right and where you need to improve. A great way to collect data about options that perhaps you've been thinking about that you want to try on a website or a marketing campaign or a feature release in a piece of software could be to A/B test. If you're A/B testing, you need to be able to collect data about what problem you're solving and which test perhaps is winning or losing. Also, what happens when you have somebody come to you and say, you spent X amount on a marketing campaign or a new feature, how's it doing? Have you made money on what you've released? And is it a success? And this is normally the reaction is, don't know. Are you able to prove that what the effort, the time, the money that you've spent has been able to pay off? Metrics will be unique to the specific feature, campaign, A/B test, and also your metrics will be as unique to you as your business is. No metrics across loads of businesses are the same. You might be looking for very specific things. One of the things that I think is really good is to just spend 5 minutes having a look at the problem, the people, and the solution. What are you trying to solve and how are you trying to solve it and who are you trying to solve it for? If you don't know your user, you're never going to be able to solve anything for them. It will get you thinking about what you want to measure as well. Vanity metrics. So vanity metrics, they tend to be things like likes and things that you can't really measure by. They don't really tell your business very much. They include likes, dislikes, downloads, install numbers, star ratings. They're not really something that you can measure anything by. They're biased. They can be habitual. People can be scrolling through things and just sign up or double tap and like something without really thinking about it. You need to be able to collect actionable data. These will help you make better decisions than any vanity metrics can. So how do we do this? You need to think about what you want to know better. The more specific that your metric is, the better the quality of the data that you're going to be collecting and looking at. You need to think about things that you can measure against. So numbers, percentages, average numbers. What do you want to know? Is there a time basis? You need to be able to compare it. Start with months. Those can be broken down into weeks. They can be built up into quarters. They can enable you to compare your metrics better as well. If you're looking at time metrics, you have to remember to always compare apples to apples. Time to tasks will also have to be compared with the same task being run if you're looking for how long it takes to do something like that. And then make improvements. Data from metrics will allow for change, whether it's implementing a more efficient process or it's something that's not working and you need to dump it and start again or look at doing it in a different way. Getting to know your users will be better through robust, strong metrics. Change can be scary, but not knowing if something is working and what you're investing in is actually paying off, that I think is scarier. Lessons are important results as well. We have to learn that the things that we learn, it might not show that something is working really well. If it's showing that something is not working, at least at least you can make that change. So Sarah, one of the things that I didn't actually mention was the use of tools for metrics. And I was just wondering what experiences you have with different tools and how in depth and how to grips you have to get to know it to get really good metrics out of them?
That's a really good question. So for basic campaigns, Google Analytics is really good. You do need to set it up right, and you need to have your tagging done right. And actually, I would really employ anybody who's working as a sort of solo marketer in a business to actually just bring a freelancer in who knows how to do it really well, because you have to also think about actually supporting your local digital community, which I know we are both really passionate about, but also accepting that you don't have to know everything, and sometimes bringing somebody in who can sort of set it up correctly for you will in the long run really help you not to be in so much pain when that all important question is being asked: how many signups did we get this month? Which you kindly pointed out as a vanity metric. And for me, as a marketer, like, a little bit of me died there. But obviously that's true, because the signups don't tell you a lot. It's really the quality of the sign up, and how you get to the quality, you rightly mentioned, was through testing. So you mentioned, for example, A/B testing, which with pop-ups, as in my example, you can do it quite easily, and by placing different types of pop-ups in front of different audiences at different times, and then just getting to your sweet spot. And it'll take a little bit of time to figure it out. So, for example, we have found one way to gain marketing content really, really useful, which was just a little floating box in the right-hand corner of our website, which every time somebody signs up, there is a very happy marketer on the other end. But it's happened because we actually really were thinking through our user flow, and similar to your examples, going, actually, where are the people at? What is my user doing? What solution am I giving them? How qualified are they at that point to give me their consent? Thank you, by the way, for your chat as well. I thought it was really good and really useful to know, and go through the different ways of metrics and what they actually mean and say. I don't know whether you wanted to add anything as well as a takeaway.
No, so I think my real add is that metrics help you build a database that you can look at. I've had experience of, I'm not a data person, I'm not a data scientist, I'm not a mathematician, I'm not keen on data, but as a UX designer or any designer, making decisions based on absolutely very little sight is quite scary. It's very risk-taking. I think there's a point at every business where you've got to look at data to be able to make better decisions, to be a real competitor in industries. You've got to be making smart decisions that, efficiency, they're efficiently driven to make better moves for the business, I think.
And being really specific in that as well. I've found sometimes you have to actually manage up as well, and manage those expectations that come from maybe higher up, from management, where they have to obviously prove that something is working, and you're helping them to make their case. But sometimes actually just giving them the amount of signups is not good enough. Actually, the quality of the data only really comes when those fundamentals are put in place. Yeah. So I mentioned Google Analytics, but there is also obviously all of the social listening tools you can use to build the whole overarching picture, because it's not really just about one touch point. All of the metrics feed into a far bigger plan, and if the plan is not in place and it's not followed, and those tactics are not really tested, then you don't, in the end, you're just yelling into a void and nobody's listening, and that's actually not going to grow your business, and it's not going to help you, and it's not going to make anything worthwhile, because in the end, the only way you're going to achieve anything is if your metrics and your business is customer centric, so things about the user first.
Yeah. And the best way to build a business case for anyone, if you're trying to get an internal tool to measure something else, you want to prove that the tool that you have is not robust enough, build a business case based on data. Nobody can ignore data. It doesn't lie. Whereas vanity metrics, they can lie because they're biased. They're not true metrics that you can measure anything by. Sorry.
Yeah, I absolutely
Sorry
agree
about
with that. No, really, I agree with that. In special, there's really great free tools out there, but some tools actually, even if it's like a freemium tool, you could do a test campaign with sort of, if you get like a premium free trial of something, do a test campaign and prove to them what you can do and time yourself, right? Because actually, one of the ways that people will listen is if you say, actually, with this tool, this campaign took me 10 hours. Without the tool, it would have been upwards of 30 hours. Now that's nearly a whole work week. And that is how you learn to then go from the data into really hard hitting facts of actually, if resource is really tight, a tool can be a really good way of you cutting down those hours and helping you and actually measuring right.
Yeah.
And getting to those awesome metrics, and not just the metrics that sort of speak to our vanity and make us look good. Because in the end, you can make any type of metric look in any type of way. You can go into GA, Google Analytics, and get a certain chart of something. And we were talking in between takes of this video as well about, you know, suddenly showing a huge spike of something in Google Analytics and making it look really great. But in the end, it might not actually translate into more business for your business. So people will start to question your metrics and how true they are, because actually the outcome isn't there, because you haven't really delivered the quality you needed to deliver, but only the quantity, which is obviously not good enough. So I think we're drawing this to a close. So Philippa and I are really passionate about the local digital community. You can find us on meetup.com, Digital Exeter, but I also know that there is tons happening all across the country and across the world. So my key takeaway actually would be that you just get hooked up with a local community, and you go to meetups and you ask questions and you try and become better at asking the right questions, so that actually when you translate that into your everyday life and the way you work, whether you're a marketer like me or UX person like Philippa, that you actually have those foundations and those thought patterns that you can actually bring in really good measurement and really good metrics into the business and prove your worth and prove that actually the way you run campaigns or the way you test things is valuable. And if there's a small price tag to it, actually, as we said, you know, bring in the data, show them what's what, and then come back to that community and tell them how well they did in teaching you. I'm sure that you'll find something somewhere, if it's not in your immediate sort of location, maybe in the next bigger city. There's lots of knowledge out there, there's lots of free knowledge out there, and those communities are really great.
Alrighty, that's it for
Right.
Sarah.